There were 6 generations that have farmed here when Crystal and I started our own farm called Frontier Farms. Farming is a partnership with nature, and our existence is that 6 inches of soil on the top that the plants can collect their nutrients from. We're removing nutrients that are put into a seed, removing them for human consumption. And so we have to be able to replenish those nutrients so we get a good nutrient cycle, just kind of be in harmony, I guess. We're kind of in a transition area where the weather can be really erratic. We kind of have to adapt to planting windows that are available, to the drought. You really just kind of take what Mother Nature throws at you and go from there. And if everything kind of just falls apart, there's always cattle out back grazing on native grass. My farm operation is always evolving. I've always tried to center it and be conservation minded. And switching to no-till, it was kind of imperative to integrate and incorporate other crops. The natural fit was summer crops. So we have corn, grain sorghum, soybeans. We integrate some winter barley, some spring oats, winter wheat is kind of a main staple, and winter canola. And recently started rotating in occasional cover crops. And we do use those where we can, and I really enjoy planting cover crops.
The more people saw how innovative and successful he was, that they wanted him to farm their property. So he became a leader in the farming community because he was making it work and he was being successful, getting a crop.
So where we're growing 5 or 6, maybe even 7 crops through different growing seasons throughout the year, we've always got some crop every year that's usually a boom, a big, huge yield, a good money maker that wasn't the year before. And then the one that was our money maker the year before is a big bust this year. So just be diverse.
He has been willing to adapt with all the challenges that have come along and wanting to do better as far as the land, clean it up, improve the soil, and just provide a better place for the cattle. We want it to be better for the next generation.
Soil health in our area is very important, especially when it comes to crops and their ability to withstand adverse weather conditions. And as we plant crops that are always growing with cover crops or just a good rotation, we get a good biome and biomatter and biodiversity of organisms growing in the soil, and therefore water can infiltrate quicker, faster.
His soil biology has improved. It's putting nutrients back in the ground. It's creating that spongy soil surface so that he's able to accept every raindrop that comes on the property. So he's benefited richly by implementing these systems.
With the heavy rainfall events that we get, we store more water, and therefore there's more water available to the roots, and the crops can withstand drought conditions. We grow crops that have a long growing season. We leave the residue on the top, and so that can start the nutrient digestion cycle. Had I not implemented several of these conservation practices, we might not have had any crops come out of the soil at all to grow, but we've got residue there. We've got a cover crop setting to catch its moisture, and it grew roots. So with all the conservation practices over time, we build the soil's ability to withstand drought. And I'll graze cattle where it's possible. I will graze the places that are fenced well or that I've fenced. For instance, we'll harvest the winter wheat and maybe not plant anything and let the little, we call it stubble grass or crabgrass, grow back, and throw steers or cows out there to graze for 60 days. Also, we will plant a cover crop of sorghums and cowpeas or anything like that, or vetch, and turn cattle out on that in the spring. Those big crops like that, if you'll not overstock it and leave the residue, the cattle are eating what's on top of the ground, but the roots are growing in the ground, and that's still biomass that's in the ground. It's alive, keeping your soil healthy and your soil microbes healthy. So that's a really good benefit to the soil, and you're getting to eat what's on top.
The last 3 years with the drought situation, his crops have yielded better than some of the neighbors. He's maintained the moisture in that soil profile by keeping it from evaporating. His plants are able to get into moisture, so he has a more even germination on his crops. His yields probably do suffer with the drought, but they're not suffering near like a person that has an exposed soil surface.
No-till in itself leaves enough residue for ground nesting birds like turkeys, quail, pheasant. And I also will leave from time to time border strips of crops for them to eat. I'll plant corn and millets for ducks in the wintertime. Leave areas where the native grass can grow big next to a crop that I'll leave 20 feet around the edges of grain sorghum. When I got the call that I'd won, it was really neat. It's a really big honor because the people I've seen that won in the past, I really respected their operations and what they did. It gives me the encouragement to continue on, that at least somebody's noticing what we're doing and that it is making a difference.
It's an honor. I am very proud of Marty and all that he's pushed to do.
I'm excited for him. I think he's just a person that takes care of not only his family, but his farms, his soil health.
It gives me the feeling and the confidence to know that somebody notices, somebody cares, and I'll continue to do it and continue to get better. And maybe it'll inspire somebody else to do the same. It's just something that I do because I love what I do. And I want to be a steward of the land.